Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of November 2020, and the time is 10 a.m. here in the UK. You're looking at a USDCHF daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for price action setups, as we do in every analysis session. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. I don't think there's much else to discuss. Now, yesterday I removed USDCHF and Euro AUD from the list. Let me re-add Euro AUD. Just because it turns out that, where the hell is Euro AUD? Oh, it's up here. It turns out that more people didn't close out. So I thought everyone had closed out. But I'm not sure why there's a green line here instead of a... yeah, I thought some of you guys had closed out, but a lot of you had closed out, but it seems like some of you were still in the trade. So I want to just discuss these a little bit more today and why you probably should have got out. So we'll start things off with GBPCHF. GBPCHF is one of the trades I shared last week. It's probably the worst performer from, well, not probably, it is the worst performer from last week. It shut down quite fast, and now it has pulled back over the last, well, since Monday. It's pulled back. Now, I said on Friday that you should probably close this one out. Some of you, turns out, didn't close it out, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to just blindly do what I say. It was just a suggestion, and it's pulled back. Now, I had one message from someone saying something along the lines of, "Oh, I should have listened to you. You were right." Now, I wasn't really right about this. Just because it turned back, it doesn't mean I was right. I was saying that you should exit because it's not a good idea to hold trades over this election over the weekend while we're still unsure about the result of the election. Now, when I say that, we know based on what we're hearing in the media that Biden has won, but the unsure part comes in with all the lawsuits Trump is launching, and that could, just even if the lawsuits have no chance of success, just the news that maybe he has success in even one major state like Pennsylvania could cause some crazy moves. And maybe the news breaks over the weekend, or maybe Trump admits that Biden has won over the weekend, or whatever happens, we could still get some craziness. So that's why I'm saying to you guys, best to close out over the weekend, because you have no control of your trades on the weekend. So that's my reason for closing out. Well, I didn't close out because I wasn't in them, but that was my reasoning for saying to you guys, you should probably close out GBPCHF, UAUD, and USDCHF. So I wasn't right. I want to make that clear, because I didn't predict that this was going to turn around. I just predicted, well, no, I didn't predict anything. I just said it's not safe to hold on to the trade. So what this all boils down to, if you're still in GBPCHF, you probably should have closed out over the weekend, let's be honest. But if you just held on to it, it is pulling back now. And I would imagine that most of you are probably going to have your, depending where you entered, your stop loss at break even at this point, and you might just get stopped out at break even, or you might get lucky and it won't hit break even and it'll keep moving down. So this one was the worst performer, but last week there was also Euro AUD. Now this one, I really don't see any reason to still be in this trade. Like there's literally no reason to still be in this trade. I know some of you stayed in and then got stopped out at break even. And I spoke to some of you personally about this, and I'm just puzzled as to why this trade was held on to. Sorry, I don't have COVID. I just have a very dry throat. I need to drink water. I'm a little dehydrated, but I don't have water with me, so I'm just going to wait until the end of this webinar. Right, so price is currently back. Well, no, it's currently halfway, at the halfway point between the entry and the target. This trade, I suggested exiting at around 1.5R because that was around where it was at the end of the week or something like that. What was it? No, I don't think I suggested exiting this one. I can't even remember at this point. I can't remember exactly when I said to exit, but I'm pretty sure that when I suggested exiting, it was around about 1.5R. Some of you held on and it pushed all the way down to 2R. Then it pushed beyond that. This trade should have been closed at 2R or 2.5R. When it hit the next support area, there was no real reason to keep this trade open. So I know most of you exited, like 95% of you closed this one out, which is cool. But to those of you who kept it open, at this point, if you haven't been stopped down at break even, you may as well keep it open and see if it goes back down to here. But this one should have been closed out. There was very little reason to keep this one open. But hey, it is what it is. I just thought I'd talk about this one real quick. And USDCHF, this is another trade from last week that some of you ended up keeping open. Again, I suggested this one be closed out at around about 1.5R. Just because of the weekend. Some of you kept it open over the weekend and it pushed down a little further. At this point, it's hit 2R. If you had it open, you should. There's really no further reason to keep this one open. It's been at 2R yesterday and so far today. It's been touching 2R. Should just close that one out. We have some pretty major support here on USDCHF. It's going to be tough for it to break through that support area. The target for this trade should have been 2R from the start, so it should be closed out. Righto, so that covers the trades that some of you were still in. I just wanted to quickly go over those. Let's look for some new setups. So yesterday we discussed New Zealand USD potential short. I'm not in this one yet because I really didn't see any reason to enter this one yet. I know some of you entered on the 12-hour, which, you know, there's nothing really wrong with that. But at the same time, I think it does, for some of you anyway, show a lack of patience and fear of missing out, really. Letting fear of missing out get you into a trade is often going to lead to trades like this where it keeps moving up. Now, again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Some traders take the approach of just taking most of their trades on lower time frames, and they'll enter a lot more trades than me. They'll have a higher losing rate than me, but they'll have more trades. So sometimes it could even balance out. Sometimes they can end up ahead money-wise, like raw profit-wise. Or let's just say percentage-wise. That's the best way to calculate these things. Percentage-wise, they can end up ahead with this approach. It's just they're going to take more losing trades. And especially for new traders, losing trades can have a bit of a psychological impact. So it really depends on the approach you want to take, but I just didn't really see any reason to enter this on the 12-hour. I was waiting for the daily, and when it came to last night, I wrote on the forum that I literally wrote, I'm in no rush to enter, I'm going to wait until morning. Then I come back in the morning and it's pushed up and it's made a new high. This is why I was in no rush to wait. Just a tip, and this is for a kind of in-depth upcoming video for Forex Mastermind members in the course. It's just one of the little parts of the new video. It's not everything, but just a tip. Entering a trade at New York close, so that's around about 10-ish p.m. UK time, or 5 p.m. New York time, or whatever time it is in your local time zone. You could just Google 10 p.m. UK in whatever city you're in, and Google will tell you what time it is. 10 p.m. UK in Sydney, 10 p.m. UK in whatever. Entering trades around that time, a lot of times is going to result in moves like this. It's best to just wait till morning. Morning would be the London session. At the start of the London session, it's best to wait till morning. In most scenarios, it's just best to wait till morning. Is it going to lead to more missed trades? Of course, but it's also going to lead to less bad trades, which for some of you, you don't care. For some of you, you do care. So just a tip, waiting till morning is often a good strategy. So you can just set your entry orders, right? This doesn't mean that if you cannot trade actively in the London session, then you shouldn't be trading. It just means you can set a entry order like I would have done in this scenario if I really wanted to. If I knew that I wouldn't be able to check my charts in the morning, or if I was in a different time zone, whatever, I knew I would be sleeping, I would have set my entry order here, set my stop loss here. This is just roughly, not perfect, but just a rough idea. And I would have just waited until morning. Well, I wouldn't have waited. I would have set my entry order. I would have set my stop loss, and I would have just let the trade run. A lot of brokers have is the sound okay for everyone else? Right. So, yeah, New Zealand USD. Just a summary. I'm not necessarily saying that your trade was bad if you entered on the 12-hour. I'm just giving suggestions and saying how I would have done it, how I did do it, because, I said on the forum that's how I was doing it. I waited, and in this scenario, waiting was the best one. Right, Euro AUD. Is it Control F5? I thought it was Shift F5. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Euro AUD. Why was this in the potential? Oh, yeah. Because we were looking for a potential long yesterday, but that never really turned into anything, so never mind that. GBPUSD, this one we've been monitoring for a little while. We're just waiting for price to push up and hit this resistance area. It's getting closer and closer. I'm excited to see what happens when it hits this resistance area. I'm still looking for a short there. USDJPY, we talked about this yesterday. I'm just waiting for a continuation. Yeah, I'm still waiting here. There are a few options. It could push down, pull back up to here. I might short there. But look, this one's a long way off from giving me anything that I would be willing to trade. So we'll talk about it as it develops. Right now, I do not see a setup there. I'm just trying to look for a short continuation here. If the opportunity presents itself, I will trade it. Right, Aud Cad. We were looking at this one on Monday, but it hasn't really developed into anything that I would want to trade. Yeah, I'm really not interested in this setup anymore. The markets are a little weird right now, and I think it's still an effect from the uncertainty surrounding the US election. Not to mention we're going into Brexit talks. It looks like it might be just, for all traders, a bit of a boring end to this year, unfortunately. With so many major political events happening, it's going to make trading more and more difficult. I mean, just look at GBPJPY as a prime example of this. Look how it's been moving recently. Just making no significant move up or down, just moving sideways. That being said, sideways movement is not necessarily a bad thing for us. But in this case it is. I was thinking maybe there'd be a bit of a range here, but there is no range I'd be willing to trade. Maybe. No. Wait, is this GBPCAD? Why did I? Oh, I accidentally moved up to GBPCAD. But yeah, 30-minute. There's nothing there. Although this, see, when you see a bunch of candles that sort of line up on the daily like this, when you see that kind of thing, sorry if you can hear my cat, guys. He's just like walking around my table being annoying. He's not normally allowed on my... Off. Sorry, guys. He's not allowed on my table, but he just loves to break the rules. Where was I? Yeah. When you see things lining up like this, where they have roughly the same closes and equal highs, it doesn't have to be perfect, but when you see that, often jumping down to a lower time frame like the 1 hour, or maybe in this case the 4 hour. No, let's go with the 1 hour. Is gonna show you a bit of a range forming, which we're seeing here. It's not a great range so far, but there is a bit of a range forming. Yeah, so the 4 hour or 1 hour, we already have a bounce from the bottom, a bounce from the top, a second bounce from the bottom, and now we're getting that second bounce from the top. So we're getting essentially the W I look for and the M I look for, which isn't complete yet, to confirm a range. So I'll be looking for a long at the bottom of this range. So when price gets down to here on GBP New Zealand, I'll be looking for a long. So let's move that to potentials. Just adding some resistance up above. Somewhere that makes sense. This one is kind of okay, but it's not great. You'll notice that I just moved this support area down here and placed it up here at the next resistance area. That's because the further price moves away from an area of support or an area from resistance, if it's moving down, the less important these areas become. So I tend to try and have 2 above, 2 below current price. So this support area down here is kind of useless to me right now, because by the time it gets back down to here, it's probably going to be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And if it moves down any faster, it's not like I can't replace it. To keep my charts clean, I like to mostly have 2 above, 2 below. So I'm going to remove those 2 below and just move them to an area that makes more sense to have there right now, because it's the direction price is moving. Yeah, like that. Price is moving up, so it makes more sense to have 2 above, and we'll just keep the 2 below that were there, but we don't need those support areas down there. But that being said, that doesn't really change anything for this specific setup, or not setup, for this specific currency pair. And guys, unfortunately, unless you guys see any setups, if you do, let me know and we'll take a look at them. Unless you guys see any setups, I think that is it for today. Oops, I always click the wrong one. Summary, that's what I want to click. So let's do a bit of a wrap up here, guys. First of all, GBPCHF, if you're in this one, hard to say what to do because I would have closed it long ago. But I guess you may as well hold on to it now because there is still a chance that it's going to move down to your target. It's a very, very, very slim chance. If you've still left it open, you may as well hold on to it for now. USDCHF, if you're still in this one, I really advise looking to close it out. Now, yeah, you could definitely 100% have price move down further. But the thing is, at the outset of this trade, what was your goal? Was your goal to have a target down here? If so, then you may as well stay in the trade, if that was your goal. If your goal was to get 2R, which is roughly what we aim for in most trades, if your goal was to get 2R, it's at 2R, so you probably want to exit. Right, potential setups, New Zealand, USD. I'm still looking for a potential short on New Zealand USD. I don't think the short's out of the question. I think I'm not going to use this candle, but we could have today's move turn into indecision. Let's say, for example, it closes down like this. That would be an acceptable indecision, and we could enter in a bit of a retrace. We can look at it if that happens. So we'll see how that goes. GBP New Zealand, there's just potential for a long trade down here at the bottom of this range on some of the lower time frames, 4 hour, 1 hour. You could take it on either, really. GBPUSD, we're still waiting for price to push up to resistance. This might not happen this week, so USDJPY, we're waiting for price to push down perhaps below this green line. I'm not 100% sure my approach to this one yet. I'm just open to taking a short continuation, and I want the short continuation to present itself. There's a lot of ways this can happen. It could bounce from here potentially, or it could bounce from there, or it could just be a straight up breakout once it breaks this low, or it could come all the way down to here, bounce from here. There's a lot of scenarios, so I don't want to marry myself to any of these options. Usually that's a bad idea when you do that, when you try to make something up in your head that you're looking for way before it happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just leaving this one open for a potential short. CMAC, yes, of course. I always post to the forum if I'm entering the trade. Well, always is not true, obviously. There are some times when I can't get to the forum, but the plan is always to post to the forum. Are there any questions, guys, or shall we wrap this one up? Now, I know this week might be a little bit disappointing, and yeah, it is disappointing for me too. Things are moving slowly. There were some nice moves last week, but this week is a bit boring, guys. I think until we get clarity on this election situation, which is starting to lean more and more towards a Biden victory. but Trump has been pretty adamant on Twitter. So yeah, let's just see how that all plays out. Oh, you mean a short from here, right? Is there any reason why that's not a good idea? Price had broken above resistance. At least it had broken above the resistance area I have. I have this. I don't know why I always move them when I'm talking about them. It's such a bad habit. It's like I'm picking it up. I kind of do that in real life when I'm talking about something. I'll pick it up and shake it, but it's so silly to do it with support resistance areas. What effect does it have? Nothing. Just confusion, really. Anyway, this area here, it was resistance, but once price broke above it and stalled above it, it started looking like it could have turned into support. So to me, that was a sign not to enter the trade. I was just afraid it turned into support. And this was kind of backed up by the way the candles were behaving around here. The only way I can see entering this trade would be to kind of like amalgamate these candles, these two candles, kind of join them together. And then use the high of yesterday's candle, the low of this candle. You know what? That is actually a somewhat viable setup. Now that you point it out. A somewhat viable setup. Am I going to trade it myself? I don't know. It's a somewhat risky setup too, and there's a little bit of stuff in the way, but it's actually not too bad in the way. Look, it's a viable setup. Yeah. Lisa, yeah, I am. It's going to be added to the course eventually. Just currency strength is more of a tool that's ideal for trend trading. It's not really something that you're looking at when it comes to reversal trading, unless you're looking at short-term currency strength. But just don't worry about the currency strength tool. If you don't know how to use the currency strength tool, don't worry about it for now. It's going to make sense to you guys why I haven't put out a video about it yet. I'm working on a huge trading dashboard for you guys. And the trading dashboard is going to have currency strength plus a whole lot more. And also it's going to have a breakdown for each and every currency pair. It's a big project when it comes out eventually, which is looking like sometime this year, towards the end of the year. Sometime late December, maybe as a Christmas present. I'll release videos along with it. It was somewhat short-sighted of me to just put the tool out there and not give it much context. but I was just excited about it because I've always, well, not always, but for the past like 15, 16 years, I've been dabbling in coding, and I finally got around to learning more JavaScript. I took a JavaScript course, and I learned how to build cool stuff in JavaScript. So I built this tool and I put it out there without thinking much about the implications that that would have, and how much you guys would need further explanation on how the tool works. So the tool's there for now. It's best if you don't know how to use a currency strength tool to ignore it. And I'm going to be overhauling that whole tool. Well, the tool is remaining the same, but I'm going to be adding some stuff to there that will help, and it's going to become a way more important and larger part of the strategy. But anyway, adding AUD Cad to the list of potential trades with an entry here, stop loss above yesterday's high. It's a bit of a risky trade, but it has potential. Now, the reason why this is an okay trade is because, yes, this could have turned into support at this point, but if it manages to push down far enough to break the entry, then that would indicate that this isn't support, that it is resistance. Ideally, honestly, the entry would be on a retrace, so I'd want to see it push lower, then pull back up. So push like maybe 20% below the low of this candle, below the range of this candle. So basically, that's what this tool I coded for TradingView is for. See, this tells me 20%. 10.5 pips is 20%. So 10.5 pips below the low of this candle is here. 9523. So ideally with this, I'd want it to either push down to here, and I would enter here, which would not give me a good risk to reward ratio, or break this level. And then I would try to get in on a bit of a retrace around here. But yeah, we'll discuss that further on the forums. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for attending. It doesn't look like there's any more questions, so I'll call an end to this analysis. Thanks, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's analysis, which should be at the same time.